All right, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. We'll stand for the pledge. We'll have a prayer by Reverend Giles Lindley from the First United Baptist, and then we'll have a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Most gracious God, we thank you for this place where we live. We thank you for the people who work so hard to make this a safe and hopeful place. Tonight we ask your special blessing upon these leaders who take on this great responsibility of caring for us and guiding us and for being our leaders. Give them your wisdom, give them your strength, give them your courage. We pray in Christ's name. Amen. Amen.
Thank you all. Good evening. Glad to have everyone here tonight, or this afternoon, I guess late actually, to be more specific. We appreciate it. For those of you who are critiquing the new mayor, please be gentle. If I mess up, Chris is going to poke me, or else Lisa's going to give me a heads up. So we will work our way through this. First, we need to see approval of the official agenda. Do we have any suggestions for a consent agenda for this new term? Mr. Little, Alderman Little.
I'd like to offer a consent agenda this evening. And under item four, both minutes on consent, both sets of the minutes.
Okay.
Under mayor's business, consideration, adoption, and standard code, consent, item A.
Okay.
Also, under mayor's business, item B. And if you'd like to speak to that.
I'll be happy to. Let me just say real quickly that this is a consideration of adoption of a work session. One of the things that I would like our board to start doing is having work sessions the Friday preceding a board meeting held on Tuesday. And what it is intended to do is give us an opportunity as a board to have dialogue rather than talking at one another as we're at the board table here on the evening of the decisions being made, that we have an opportunity to discuss with one another those items. And that way, if we do this on Friday and we can reach an agreement about exactly what might need to be pulled off the agenda, we won't have any changes. After Friday, we will have a finalized agenda on that Friday, and then we'll move forward to the Tuesday. But it just offers us an opportunity to have some back and forth dialogue, some more substantive dialogue than you see normally in a board meeting. So then it's a little less formalized. People feel a little freer to have discussions about items. So that's the intent. It will be noticed just like a normal public hearing. Press is invited. Public is invited. It'll be held in the second floor conference room, and it just allows the board to have a little more free-flowing discussion. So that's the intent of it. So I thank you for accepting that as consent. Alderman Sister?
I just wanted, sorry, new technology. I wanted to say that while we hope to start out on a Friday, as we determine what's the best date for us, that's always subject to change, because I know Alderman Miller travels. I know that Alderman Walker has had a class at that time frame in the past. So we're going to be flexible about how we approach this, I think.
Sure, absolutely. And it's a test. I mean, we haven't done this before, so there are other cities that do it. It's not, it's not precedent in nature for other cities, but we thought we'd try it and see if it works well for us. So we'll incorporate it. And, we're willing to try new things. So we're going to do our best to see if we can't make this whole process very open and public-friendly and complete as we go through the discussions about issues. So that's the intent. Thank you.
All right. Continuing on, Roman numeral 10, board business, item A, select Alderman Henry Vaughn as our voting delegate, with Alderman Walker as the alternate.
Okay.
Item B, consent with the appointment of Steve Bo Richardson for the vacancy of the Starkville Board of Adjustment and Appeals.
Steve Richardson?
Bo.
Oh, Bo Richardson. Okay, I'm sorry.
Steve's his first name. Item C, with the selection of Vice Mayor Perkins to continue on in that role.
Okay.
Item D, selection of Sandra Sistrunk, and I've got a motion I'd like for it to read differently than what's printed. Move that Ward 2 Alderman Sandra Sistrunk be appointed as the city's budget chair for the term beginning July 3rd, 2017 through June 30th, 2021, and that she have all the powers and duties associated with that position, including but not limited to the authority to conduct and attend meetings with city officials, department heads, and employees, and the city's independent accountants and/or auditors, all for the purpose of compiling and analyzing budgetary data in order to present recommendations on budgetary matters to the Board of Aldermen.
All right, it has been reduced to writing, and we will, everybody got that for purposes of consent agenda. Thank you.
Item E, consent. Item F, consent, and I've got a motion for that also as well. Move reappointment of James Jim McHale, P.C. McLaurin, and Alfreda Outlaw, and Nancy Walsh and Julia Williams to the Municipal Election Commission pending the outcome of the challenge to the May 16th, 2017 mayoral primary runoff election, and then reconsideration of members thereafter.
All right, I'll pass that along. Thank you. Anyone have any questions about that after his reading of it? Okay, thank
No
you.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
If no problem, on these items that we put on consent, can we read them off, the items, whatever we put on consent? Can we come back and read them off for the
I will
public?
I will do that, and I'll have to take those back from Ms. Harden here to do that, but I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Further
Let's
on
see,
the little?
we lost most of the spot here. Item G. Item H, and I've got a motion for it. Move to issue a request for proposals for the City of Starkville legal services for the 2017-2021 term, and in the interim, extending the contract under its current terms of Christopher J. Latimer with the Mitchell, McNutt, and Sam's Law Firm, with the request to go out by July 10th, 2017, with submissions to be received by the city clerk with a deadline of July 26, 2017 at 5 p.m.
You have to share that one too. All right, thank you. Okay, anything further?
Yes. Under planning, Roman numeral 11, 2A, consent.
Okay.
If there's no objection, B. I think we've got a public hearing.
Yeah,
on
we
all
have a
of them
public hearing
also,
on that.
so we'll address that now.
Attorney Latimer, if it's all right, I can just ask if there's anyone who wants to speak to this matter. Okay, under Department Business 11, for those of you who have an agenda, B2B is discussion and consideration of a CU 17-03, a request for conditional use to allow for a wireless communication tower at 1113 Stark Road in a C2 zone with a parcel number 103H-00-013-0.01. And I will call for a public hearing on that at this time, unless, is there a board member who is not wanting that on consent? Okay, I'll call for a public hearing at this time. Does anyone have any desire to speak on this particular matter? Yes, sir. And your name?
Good evening. My name is Andy Rotenstrike. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. This is the same item that was up before you 2 weeks ago for another issue, but it's the same cell tower at the same location. Before, 2 weeks ago, we were here for an appeal from the BZA. That was granted. We're back now for in the regular course of business for a conditional use. The conditional use was heard by the Planning Commission and recommended unanimous approval. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Okay, thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions? Okay, we are proposing putting it on consent, so
Thank you.
assuming that goes forward, then you'll be free to go to Birmingham via Tuscaloosa.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further on that?
Yes. No objections, item C.
Okay, same matter for item C. Discussion and consideration of CU 1704, a request for conditional use to allow for a single-family dwelling at 311 D.L. Connor in a C2 zone with the parcel number 118P-00-078.00. Anyone on the board have any issues with that particular item going on consent? Okay, then I will call for a public hearing on that item. Anyone wishing to speak to that item, please, you have an opportunity at this point in time. Could you state your name, please, sir? For the record.
I'm Joel Downey. I'm with Habitat for Humanity. We are making this request, and I'm here to answer any questions anybody might have.
Okay. Anyone on the board have a question of this item? Okay.
Thank you.
Nothing? Thank you.
Next is item E, And I had spoken with Alderman Miller earlier today, and he would like to appoint Alexis Gregory to the vacancy in Ward 5 for the Starkville Planning and Zoning Commission. Up
Okay.
to the applicants.
Okay.
All right. Continuing on, under Finance, E1, Claims Docket. Move
Okay.
approval of the City of Starkville Claims Docket for the Board of Alderman meeting of July 5th, acknowledging that the city clerk has attested and certified on the record to be placed in the minutes of this meeting that all claims on the docket are true, accurate, lawful, and proper for payment pursuant to her duties under Mississippi Code Sections 21-39-5, 21-39-7, 21-39-9, 21-39-17, and 21-15-21.
Okay. Attorney Latimer?
Ms. Mayor, let me just ask the city clerk to make that attestation on the record. Ms. Harden, to you as Starkville City Clerk, and pursuant to your duties in that role under Mississippi Code Sections 21-39-5, 21-39-7, 21-39-9, 21-39-17, and 21-15-21, attest and certify that the claims on the docket of the July 5th, 2017 meeting of the Starkville Board of Alderman are true, accurate, lawful, and proper for payment by the city.
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, they all are.
Thank you.
I'm impressed that y'all got all those sections in there. Okay, thank you. Alderman, anything further?
Yes, under Fire Department, item 1. Under Utilities Department, L1
Okay,
and 2,
okay.
and that concludes.
All right, that just about concludes the agenda, pretty much. Anyone have anything further? Any other Alderman with anything they wish to offer to the consent agenda? Okay.
Did-
Alderman Sistrum.
Did item 10E, the consideration of use of a consent agenda going forward, make it
Yes.
onto the list? Okay.
We need to, Chris, do we need to add a column for approval of consent agenda
We do,
somewhere?
item number, Roman numeral 4 or 5, 4, I believe.
And then just, okay.
So there needs to be a motion or
So
additional
moved.
friendly amendment to add a consent agenda.
So moved.
All right. We have a motion to add a consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Carver.
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yay. All right, consent agenda will be added to this agenda. All right, now, I'm going to go back through and try to get these right as I read them all. For the consent agenda, for purposes of the consent agenda, we have under approval of the Board of Alderman minutes, item 4, we have consideration of the minutes of the May 2nd, 2017 meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, incorporating any and all changes recommended by the City Attorney. Consideration of the minutes of the May 16, 2017 meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, incorporating any and all changes recommended by the City Attorney. We have, under Mayor's business, item 9A, consideration of the adoption of the Standard Code of Parliamentary Procedure, 4th edition by Alice Sturgis as the parliamentary rules for the conduct of Board of Alderman meetings. B, consideration of the adoption of a work session to be held on the Friday immediately preceding the regular or recess meeting of the Board of Aldermen at 11 a.m. on the second floor, conference room, and notice to the public in accordance with state statute. Under 10, Board Business, we have consideration of a resolution appointing Alderman Henry Vaughn as voting delegate and Alderman Walker as alternate voting delegate to the Mississippi Municipal League for the 2017 conference. B is consideration of the appointment of Steve Bo Richardson to the vacancy in Ward 3 of the Starkville Adjustment and Appeals Board. C is consideration of the election of Alderman, soon-to-be Vice Mayor Perkins as Mayor Pro Tem or Vice Mayor for the legislative term of 2017-2021 in accordance with Mississippi Code 21-313. D, consideration of the appointment, oh, wait a minute, we had a big one on that one. Let me pull that one up so I can read it accurately. Consideration of Ward 2 Alderman Sandra Sistrunk being appointed as the city's budget chair for the term beginning July the 3rd, 2017 through June 30th, 2021, and that she have all the powers and duties associated with that position, including but not limited to the authority to conduct and attend meetings with city officials, department heads and employees, and the city's independent accountants and/or auditors, all for the purpose of compiling and analyzing budgetary data in order to present recommendations on budgetary matters to the Board of Aldermen. Item E is consideration of the adoption of the use of a consent agenda as a procedural element of the board meeting agendas. Item F is wait a minute, I've got one on that one too, hang on. Item F is reappointment of James Jim McKell, P.C. McLaurin, Alfreda Outlaw, Nancy Walsh, and Julia Williams to the Municipal Election Commission pending the outcome of the challenge to the May 16th, 2017 mayoral primary runoff election and then reconsideration of members thereafter. Item G is consideration and approval of advertising for letters of interest for an appointment to the position of Starkville Consolidated School District Board of Trustees to be submitted to the city clerk with the deadline for letters of interest being 5 p.m. on July 26, 2017. Under H, we have issuing a request for proposals for the City of Starkville legal services for the 2017-2021 term, and in the interim, extending the contract under its current terms of Christopher J. Latimer with Mitchell, McNutt, and Sams, PA, with request to go out by July the 10th, 2017, with a submission to be received by the city clerk with a deadline of July the 26th, 2017 at 5 p.m. Under Department Business, Community Development Department 2A is a special request by United Way of North Central Mississippi to hold the first annual Run United 5K kickoff on September 23rd, 2017, and have city participation with in-kind services. We have item B is a discussion and consideration of CU 1703, a request for conditional use to allow for a wireless communication tower at 1113 Stark Road in a C2 zone with parcel number 103H-00-013.01, and we have held a public hearing on that matter. Number C, or item C, is a discussion and consideration of a CU 17-04, a request for conditional use to allow for a single-family dwelling at 311 D.L. Connor in a C2 zone with a parcel number 118P-00-078.00, and that too we had a public hearing on. Item E, discussion and consideration of Alexis Gregory for appointment to the vacancy of Ward 5 of the Starkville Planning and Zoning Commission. Approval of the City of Starkville claims docket for all departments, including Starkville Utilities Department as of June 28th, 2017 for fiscal year ending 9/30/17. Acknowledging that City Clerk has attested and certified on the record to be placed in the minutes of this meeting that all claims on the docket are true, accurate, lawful, and proper for payment pursuant to her duties under Mississippi Code Sections 21-39-5, 21-39-7, 21-39-9, 21-39-17, and 21-15-21. And she has so acknowledged. Fire Department, item 1, request permission to renew the annual membership to the Wellness Connection in the amount of $7,000 to run July the 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. Under item L, Utilities Department, we have request authorization for Corey Burke and Stephen Wade to travel to Jackson, Tennessee to attend TVPPA Line Worker Operations Lab 3, August 21st through the 25th, 2017, at a total cost not to exceed $3,300 for both with advanced travel. Item 2, request authorization to accept the lowest and best bids received for the July 1st, 2017 through December the 31st, 2017 Source of Supply Electric Division. And we got to the end of that. All right, those are the items on the consent agenda. We have nothing further for the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Alderman Little, motion. We need a second. Second from Alderman Sistrunk. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. What?
Do we
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Did you have a question?
need 2 bids for the request for permission to renew annual membership to the Wellness Connection, the amount of $7,000 to run July 1 through June 30th, 2018, under the Fire Department?
I don't believe that we do. The wellness, Chief Yarborough, where might you be? You have, last time I think we chatted at one point in time, you said you had researched that to determine that that was still the lowest offer that you had. Did you talk to some other entities around town about that?
I did. I
Would
sent
you-
actually sent one to Lisa One, and the other one was
Snap Fitness
stuff-
or something?
Snap, it was 13,000.
Okay, okay.
13,000 for that and 13,000 for Club 24.
Do you mind emailing me?
No,
this
I get it
tomorrow?
taken care of.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm gonna have it right now, check and see.
Okay, thank you. Is that-
It's always the
Okay.
cheapest.
All right. Anything
It's
else?
always the cheapest.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, just a point of clarity. There was a second motion to approve the consent agenda. There was an original motion. and
I'm
second
sorry,
vote.
I'm sorry.
So think
I got through the reading of
That's
all
right.
that.
So I think
Okay.
that second motion can be
I apologize,
moot.
okay, okay.
And then I think the two public hearings, A and B, are rendered moot since they've already occurred. So
Okay.
from an agenda standpoint, those can be crossed off.
I knew you'd keep me straight, thank you. Okay, all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? All right. Made it through one, yay. Okay, let's see here. And then, well, we still have to approve the official agenda. We now have a consent agenda, approve the official agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Alderman Little, second.
Second.
There we go, thank you, Alderman Sistrunk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Okay, announcements and comments. I'm tired of talking, y'all. Mayor's comments. I have nothing more than to say thank you all so much. We appreciate you being here. We love attendance here at the board meetings, and I don't know, is anybody out there tweeting for us? You've lost your folks who normally tweet out the agenda, so we'll work with Bill streaming the video. So I have no comments. Anyone on the board have any comments? Alderman? No? Okay. Citizens' comments. Mr. Turner, don't disappoint me. Come on up. I would be so worried if you didn't come up for our first meeting.
Good evening to the mayor and board. My name is Alvin Turner, Ward 7. And to the mayor Brewer, the vice mayor Perkins, Alderman Vaughn,
Thank you, Alvin.
Alderman Walker.
Thank you, Al.
Good evening.
The citizen has a few things that's concerned them, and the first one is on April the 18th, right before my brother's birthday, I got ill, but the people would like to know that we have already had one rape on North Jackson Street, 182 and 39. I was to bring that to attention, but I got ill. So bring to attention that I don't think nobody got hurt, but the cars got hurt. I don't know whether they coming out of the Chevron or coming out of Family Dollar, but anyway, I think the cars just got hurt. But anyway, they want me to bring that to your attention. And one more thing, they is kind of nervous about, and it's about what we've been hearing on TV with the cheering and guns. We hoping there's a way that cheering cannot pull those things, or is it any way that can put something on those guns that they cannot use them, and that just some concerns of citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. It's nice to see you. Thank you. Do we have any other citizens' comments?
My name is Eileen Cartab, and one of the concerns that I have is that I'm wearing somewhat two hats. I work for the Department of Mental Health and also serve on the advisory board for the Department of Mental Health. And I'm concerned about the number of, those that may have some type of mental health that's out in the community. And I want to would like to make a request, if it has not been done, that our police staff and perhaps those that are in leadership position be trained on that sort of thing. I don't know, could Chief Nichols speak to that or not?
Chief Nichols, would
But
you
I
be so
know
kind?
it's one of our concerns, and I was asked to bring it to the new mayor board about that concern.
Thank you, Ms. Cartab.
Thank you, Ms. Dowd. Mayor Spruill, Vice Mayor, members of the board. We do have mental illness training. We had a partnership with community counseling at one time, but I think it fell apart, where we had what we called a specialty unit comprised of a therapist, a police officer, and another member of the community. Whenever we have any kind of call involving anybody that may be suffering from mental illness, we would call those people out in that particular team. But they had some changes to go on in that staff at community counseling, so it's kind of dissolved, but I heard they're trying to put it back together.
Okay, would you?
But we do get mental illness training yearly.
Okay, would you share that with her when you determine that it has been put back together again?
I'll be happy to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Cartab. Any other citizens' comments? No? All right, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Isaacs, I apologize. I didn't, you usually.
I'm tired from coming way up here trying to get here.
Okay.
I'm a little late today.
Okay.
I even missed the meeting. I missed being on there, and I gotta watch it on TV. I tell you. Good evening, everybody. And that's to all my aldermen. I'm not saying that I got one over there that's advice, but I'm saying to all my aldermen. Because once I come up here for a problem, I expect everybody to be involved in my problem, okay?
Right,
But
Mr.
I would just like to say, it's great that we got leaders now that's coming among us that's gonna be fair and gonna be partial. Everybody else was fair and partial, but I want you to think, not only your community need it, but my community. And I'm gonna make sure my community, you know I'm always say my community, and everybody know where I stand. So I'm gonna say my community, but everybody's community. We're trying to make some important changes, and we would ask that you please remember, everybody, we got poor people here who need apartments. They need to have money to go and be able to do it. They need jobs. They don't need no kitchen job, you know. Some of them better than a kitchen job. Some of them can do, but a job is a job. I know they say that, but when you get 58 years old, who want to wash dishes at McDonald's? It's a job, but still, it's not enough money. So I just want to say, take it into advisory, please. Don't just say my ward. Take it into advisory that it's everybody's ward, and don't make the judge have to hit the stick on me, because she gonna park instructors are very much so do it. And you know, and she said she was gonna do it too.
You already told me you were gonna try to exceed 3 minutes now.
So I'm trying to tell everybody, and it's like this, at the end of the term, the four-year term, if you don't want to serve it, like for the community, may the work you've done speak for yourself. May it speak for you, may it speak for me, and may it speak for these who we're trying to get to attend the meetings. I would just like to say welcome aboard, and y'all been good so far. Y'all been good.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac. And for the record, I'm gonna go ahead and say your name for the viewing public. Ms. Dorothy Isaac, and she's in Ward 6.
Oh, okay.
Okay? All right, that's all right. That's all right.
Kudos to my people who gonna be back in position, because I love them too. May the work speak for them, okay?
Thank you.
I mean, may not nobody agree with me there.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Okay, we had no public appearance, oh, I'm sorry, was there anyone else? All right, thank you. We had no public appearances for this evening. We have dispatched item 8A and item 8B, and we now have a public hearing of CU 1706, a request for conditional use to allow for a loan business at 420 Highway 12 West in a C2 zone with parcel number 102C-00-224.04. And Mr. Sanders, Mr. Haviland, y'all make a presentation for us.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board of Alderman. Case number CU 17-06 is a request by Chris Johns on behalf of Family Choice Financial to allow a loan business to be located at 420 Highway 12 in a C2 zone shopping center, otherwise known as the shopping center where Argonne is currently located over there. Mr. Hamlin, would you go into more detail for us?
Yes, the property is C2 zone, and in order to operate a loan business, conditional use is required for the city of Starkville's permitted conditional use chart. On June 13, 2017, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of this conditional use request with the following conditions. The applicant shall have 6 months from the time of conditional use approval to obtain certificate of occupancy. The applicant shall obtain a certificate of occupancy prior to the commencement of any business activities on the subject property, and all the above conditions shall be fully and faithfully executed, or the conditional use shall become null and void. The properties to the north, it's kind of hard to see, or this doesn't represent it very well, but to the north in this direction is single zoned R2 and it's single family residential. To the east on the other side of the parking lot is C2 and it's currently a body shop. To the south is M1 across Highway 12 and it is industrial. To the west is C2, but it is currently being used as single family. The 5 criteria for conditional use are as follows. Land use compatibility. The proposed use of a loan business could be considered compatible with the adjacent properties. There is now a check now payday advance title loan business 2 doors down from the proposed storefront. The property is currently zoned C2. The 2016 comprehensive plan has the area place type listed as suburban center. Sufficient site size and adequate site specifications to accommodate the proposed use. The site is adequately sized to accommodate the proposed use. Proper use of mitigated techniques, there are none proposed. Hazardous waste, there is no hazardous waste. Compliance with applicable laws and ordinances, the applicant is responsible for obtaining all proper permitting required by the city and state and will be required to seek a certificate of occupancy. 17 property owners of a record within 300 feet of the subject property were notified directly by mail of this request. A public hearing notice was published in the Starkville Daily News on June 15, 2017, and a sign was posted on the property concurrent with the publication of this notice. As of this date, the planning office has received no phone calls against this request.
And if approved, as best that staff and I can tell, this would be our 36th small loan store in this world.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the board? Mr. Lau?
Sorry, I want to
No,
usurp the board.
That's okay. I saw your hand first. I'll let you go.
Just a couple of things to hit on from what you guys said. You said no calls. Has there been any opposition whatsoever to the request?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And then the other payday loan business that's in that development, when did that go in?
I do not have that information. I guess we can check with their permitting from the city clerk's office tomorrow. But to my knowledge, it was here prior to me being here in 2014.
First, I started with the city on July 1st, 2013, and the first conditional use for a small loan store that I dealt with was Metropolitan Loans next door to Nukes and Trustmark. So it was, to my knowledge, it was prior to 2013, July 1st, 2013.
So you guys don't know right now whether the existing business received a conditional use or not?
We do not.
And then one other thing, Mr. Haviland, you mentioned that the 2016 comprehensive plan has this area listed as a suburban center.
Correct.
Does that mean that cuts in favor of compatibility or against, or is that a neutral fact?
When we get a little further along in the process with the code rewrite, when they address like what the permitted uses would be for the different place types that they proposed and actually get into the zoning of the place types, then that would kind of flush out. But right now, it's still listed as a business retail kind of area. So would be my best response, I guess.
So he's in a C2 zone right now.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Alderman Cisco.
Can you talk a little bit about how that, general area, that shopping center has changed? Because it has changed a good bit, even within the last couple of years, but probably certainly since the other payday lending shop was opened.
Yes, recently in the last year and a half, a new owner has taken over the shopping center, and it's kind of visually evident. They put some money into addressing some of the appearance issues and landscaping the parking lot, and they've also brought in some new retailers into the area. I'm assuming about the time the other payday place opened, it would have been the bowling alley or maybe the bar prior to the bowling alley. So the shopping center is in a state of change, going more toward retail than bowling alley and bars, I guess.
Thank you.
Has the Family Choice Financial Group already committed to a lease on this property?
I believe they leased, they committed to the lease of the property prior to knowing about the rule.
So has city staff made any kind of commitments to them in regard to use?
No.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, thank you. We'll now open it up for a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter is applicant. Would you like to come forward? Could you state your name, please?
My name is Chris Johns, President of Family Choice Financial, Mayor, Vice, Alderman. We are not a payday lender as classified. We are an installment lender. We make loans between $500 to $15,000. Our lowest rate would be 18%. Highest would be around 36%. We finance automobiles, ATVs, tractors, miscellaneous needs. So we have a pretty vast array of lending that we do. We service surrounding areas, generally West Point, Eupora, some of the smaller communities that would come to Starkville to do business with us. I've run some offices here, 3 of them, several years prior to 2012. We are a Mississippi-based company out of Macomb, Mississippi. We have 11 other offices. This would be number 12 for us. So we've committed to a 5-year lease and actually hired 2 employees from Starkville back in mid-May, and with intention to open June 1st before we found out about the conditional use. So we've just been kind of in a holding pattern to move forward.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions of the applicant? Okay, thank you. Any other comments for the public hearing? Anyone else wishing to comment on this matter? Okay, I see no other, so we'll close it as a public hearing. Next, we have item D is the first of 2 public hearings that will be enacting a moratorium on billboards in the city of Starkville. Do we have any? Okay, thank you. Ms. Avalon, anything on that?
This is just basically kind of a renewal of the previous moratorium that has since expired on June 30th. And for this one to take place, we have already scheduled another for it to come for the board again on July 18th. If it is approved on July 18th, the moratorium would take effect on August 18th and would expire on January 18th of 2018. The ad ran in the Starkville Daily News on June 23rd and June 3rd, and a sign was posted in the lobby of City Hall.
Okay, so it has been noticed properly.
Correct.
Thank you. Any comments from the board on this particular matter before I open the public hearing? Okay, open this up as a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak to this matter? This is the moratorium on the billboards. Anyone? All right, I will close it as a public hearing. And we will see what we can get on further down the line here. We're moving along nicely. Next item that the board to take up is the discussion and consideration of CU 17-06, a request for conditional use to allow for a loan business at 420 Highway 12 West in the C2 zone with parcel number 102C-00-224.04. And any discussion from the board? Any comments from the board alderman? None?
Make a move to approve.
Okay. I have a motion to approve from Alderman Walker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Carver?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any discussion? Alderman Sistro?
Yes, I'd like to say that there are 5 criteria that are outlined in our e-packet and that are available that we are to use as criteria for determining if there is it is appropriate to grant a conditional use. I will ask Mr. Latimer to explain to us a little bit more about what needs to be met. My concerns are that I've not heard tonight that this is a compatible use. I've heard that it could be, but I have not heard that it is a compatible use. I'm also concerned about what is changing in that shopping center how it is trending more toward retail and less more away from other business types. And as we are going into the code rewrite, we're not certain what will happen, how that will be defined in the code rewrite as far as appropriate uses.
Alderman Sistrunk, the test for a conditional use is more lenient than a rezoning, and the applicant bears the burden of proof by preponderance of evidence, which is the lowest civil burden, 50% plus one, or you can substitute the phrase more likely than not. So basically your determination is whether the applicant is proven by preponderance of the evidence the 5-point criteria listed in the board packet. And that land use compatibility inquiry, the first point in the packet, turns on whether it's compatible and harmonious with adjacent land use and would not adversely impact land use in the immediate vicinity. And the board's decision will be upheld no matter which way it votes if there is substantial evidence in the record to form a basis for that decision.
Mr. Lamb?
Yes.
So, Mr. Haviland, didn't you say that a similar establishment is in the same shopping center?
Yes, one that fits in that same criteria that's on a a conditional use chart. It kind of lumps car title, loan business, and payday advance into one category.
Right. So to me, that would clearly be an indication of compatible use. I would say as moving forward, while it may be trending for retail, one of the things that is going to make a strip mall, which essentially that is what we still have, that is going to make a strip mall continue to be viable, is to have a mix of uses in there. To think it's all going to rely and solely be the same type of retail is typically going to be a death knell for that. So having a mixture of uses, I think, gives any shopping center more long-term value. I think it's clearly understandable when we talk about this type of use and how it may not be a favorite of everyone's choice. And I agree with that. I would prefer there not to be 36. I'd also prefer there not to be 60 convenience stores or so in town. So if we're going to start picking and choosing what we're going to allow, I think we need to be clear if that's what we're going to do. We're going to pick and choose what type of business that we want, because that list could be much longer. I've got places in my ward and in other people's wards where we have a convenience store being built. There's already one across the street. There's about to be another one across the street, and there's just another one got rezoned for right down the road. So if we want to really begin and really define how we want and where we want things to locate, I'm willing to have that discussion. I would love to have that discussion. I think if we want to be clear about where and what we want to have in a shopping center, we need to spell that out very clearly, and as of now, it's not spelled out very clearly. And I would say by meeting those criteria, that land use compatibility, I think clearly this meets that definition. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Walker. Anyone else?
And
Alderman Sistrunk?
once again, we don't know when the other business that we're considering, or that Alderman Walker is considering similar, was permitted to be there. It could have been prior. It could have been there for quite some time, and certainly doesn't seem to have been there since the conditional use requirement went into play. Is that?
Yeah, I really
just don't have an
that
answer to
information
that. Okay.
right now, but I could research it.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion? No? Do I have a motion? I do. Thank you. Do I have a second? Oh, I got one too. That's right, I do. Okay. Yes. All in favor? All in favor? Opposed?
Nay.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nay.
Vice Mayor? Okay, all right. We'll do hands, please. All in favor? All right, all right, and all against? Okay, thank you. 4-3? Yep, thank you. Motion passes. All right, we have one last item for the agenda according to my record here, and that's under K, Sanitation Department. We have request authorization to advertise for bids for the lease purchase of a new WH dozer to be used at the city's landfill, and authorization to remove the D6R dozer from inventory, declare it surplus property with authorization to sell on Gov Deals. Ms. Gandy, would you please give us background?
The dozer that good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board. The dozer that we currently have at the landfill we're having some problems out of it. And most recently, Thompson Machinery came out and said that the motor was gone. And when I started to call and ask questions about repairs, then there was a second invoice that came in that said the underpinning was gone. Well, the underpinning is basically your transmission and all of that there. So when I got the two quotes together, which is what you should have in your packet, come to right about $74,000. So what I did was I called around to see if we could find something else. I spoke with Jimmy Sloan at Golden Triangle Waste Management. They had one. It was a 2010. It had already had some work on it. It's a heavy duty equipment. The WH is a waste hauler, which is what the landfill needs. It comes with a little bit more protection. The underpinning is thicker, and there's a protective covering there that keeps what's happening to ours, which does not have that, which is not designed for the landfill. It keeps that from happening. So Waste Management has one. It's a 2009 for $200,000. It's not going to come with a warranty, but it is an option. I spoke with Thompson Machinery. Thompson Machinery has one. It's the same as ours. A year older, 2010. Still does not have any protection because it's exactly like what we have. They would offer a limited warranty, but it is the same age as ours, so chances are once that warranty ends or within an hour, a year or so, we would still be right in the same situation that we're in. So I came before the board to ask for a new piece of equipment. It would give us warranty. We could buy what we needed, and it would better serve us. What we got in 2009 was used. Could not find any information on how many hours it had been used, what it had been used for, but we did buy it used. So that's what I'm here to ask the board to allow me to request for bids to see if we could get a waste hauler dozer that could be used at the landfill.
Okay, and this is the equipment that we share the cost with the county, is that correct?
It is the equipment that we share at the county. I have contact, and let me also say that currently, since we don't have anything, the county has given us one of their older ones, which is what we're maintaining the facility with now, and we were given it with the option to use until they need it for another job. So right now, we do have one of their older pieces of equipment that we're using. But to answer your question, Mayor, yes, it will be shared 50-50. It will be considered a capital purchase, so it will be 50-50 based on our interlocal agreement with the county.
Okay, and a rough cost of a new one, have you researched that?
Rough cost of a new one, that, as to what we would need, around $400,000.
400,000?
4.
And this one differs from the one we've got now by the undercarriage, is that?
By the undercarriage and the weight. This one is considered a medium dozer, lightweight dozer. It's good for construction as far as moving dirt, but you have to remember that we're not just moving dirt at the landfill. We're moving logs, we're moving sticks, we're moving brush. And the running over tree limbs and over what have you is what caused the damage to the undercarriage. Sticks poking through the radiator, trying to move the log into place or what have you. Okay. But this new piece of equipment would come with a protective barrier under the undercarriage. It would also come with protective screening for the radiator and for the other important components.
Okay, how long do you think it'll take you to get one if the board were to approve this? What's the length of time? And the only reason I ask is because if we're using the counties right now, I'm assuming it's not designed for this particular use either.
It is not, but what we're having to do is we are having to, it's taking us a little bit longer to get it done. Is what is going on. It's taking us a little bit longer to get things into place, and we're pretty much having to, instead of just allowing the trucks to come in and dump and we move things in place, we're pretty much having to put rubbish in the position that it needs to be in.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Mr.
Thank you. I was going to say, from a cost sharing standpoint, who on the county side makes a decision, and do they have a budget that you've got to meet? And is it?
No, the city, based on my understanding of the interlocal agreement, the city has been given the complete maintenance of the landfill, with the county sharing 65, with us splitting a 65-35 split over non-capital items,
Yes, ma'am.
and a 50-50 split over capital improvement items.
Okay.
Anything further, Alderman? Alderman Sistrum?
This is a 2009 machine that we purchased used
In 2009.
in 2009. So
I couldn't find any information on it. I don't know what it had been used for, how many hours was on it, or anything.
but we've had it for 8 years now.
We've had it for 8 years.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone? Any other Alderman? So you're anticipating, what's the normal life of one of these pieces of equipment, assuming they're used in accordance with their specs?
Well, I had the gentleman from Thompson Machinery over today, and I asked him that same question, and he just said it depends on how often it is used and what it is being used for. And I explained to him, I said, well, ours is used every day. This is the only dozer that we have, so we don't have a backup. So it is used every day. And so he just said it just depends on how often it's used and what it's used for. Now, the dozer that they have, that they want to let us sell or purchase, and they do have one for sale. It's the same as ours, as I said. It has like, I think ours may have 7,200 hours. I think theirs has about 6,500, but it's only used for moving dirt in construction site. It's not used for major rubbish removal like what we've been using ours for.
So a little old lady drove it back and forth to church is what, it's the used car analogy. Is this a budgeted item? Do we have funds?
It is not a budgeted for this budget, but because I had placed money into our consultant because we're having everything done at the landfill, I feel that there is sufficient funds there that would support payments if we purchase something before this budget ends. And those funds could easily be allocated to another line item in the new budget cycle.
Is that something we can do a lease purchase on?
And that was the other thing, when I talked with Ms. Lisa about that $200,000 piece of equipment, she kind of had some concerns about maybe even getting it financed with it being that old.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And move to purchase the new.
We're going to request.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant. Advertise for proposals for a new one though, as opposed to. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
For lease purchase for a new one.
Lease purchase for a
Lease
new.
purchase.
Okay. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Sistrunk. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alderman Walker?
Just a
Discussion?
just a
Okay, I'm
question
sorry.
as to clarify. I'm going to support advertising for bids, but I would also say that I think we may need to clean up this because I do not believe that we need to declare our existing piece of equipment surplus and put it out for sale without knowing for sure what we're going to do yet. So I would be in favor of making the motion to advertise for bids, but holding off on just seeing exactly what we're going to do with our piece of equipment that's not.
Okay, is that a friendly amendment?
Yes, they can consider it that
All
way.
right. All right, that's acceptable, thank you, all right. Any other discussion or concerns? All right. We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, thank you. And I think we made it through the majority of the items on the agenda.
We're going to close session.
Yes, we would. I have a motion to go into closed session for determination of a need to go into executive session for property acquisition and/or sale or lease and personnel items. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Walker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. If we could get you to clear the room, please. Thank you all for coming in and giving us support as we work our way through this first meeting. And we will go into executive session. So. All right, the board took no action in executive session, and we are now back into open session, and we'll take up item 16, appointments and reappointments. Item A is consideration of the reappointment of Lisa Harden as City Clerk and Director of Finance for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2133 at SEC. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Alderman Little, I have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Sistrunk. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of R. Frank Nichols, okay. Oh, that was Alderman Carter? You were on top of me? Okay. Consideration of the reappointment of R. Frank Nichols as Police Chief for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2133 et sec. I have a motion from Alderman Carver. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Little. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of appointment of Navert Ashford as the Human Resources
So
Director of the
moved.
City of Starkville. Okay. Who's on top of me? Who did?
I'm sorry.
Oh, that was you. I can't, if I'm reading, I can't hear who's doing. Okay, as the Resource Director for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135, I have a motion from Alderman Little. I have a second.
Second.
Second from Alderman Carver. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration of the reappointment of Rodney Favors as municipal judge for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2123.3. Do you have a motion? Motion from Alderman Sistrunk. Second? Second. Alderman Carver. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of Caroline Moore as a municipal prosecutor for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2123.3.
So moved.
Alderman Little, have a motion. Second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Carver. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of Tony Rook as a court administrator for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2123.3. Was that Alderman Vaughn?
Yes.
A motion for approval from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Little. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration of the reappointment of Charles Yarborough with the fire chief as fire chief for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135.
Move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of Terry Kemp as the general manager of the City of Starkville Utilities for the City of Starkville in accordance with 2135. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Alderman Little, a motion. I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Sistrunk. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration of the reappointment of Walter Buddy Sanders as the Director of the Community Development Department for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of Rodney Lincoln as the Airport Director for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion from Alderman Little. Second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Carver. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of Herman Peters as the Director for the Park Recreation Department for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135.
Move approval.
I have a motion from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second one from Alderman Carver. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of Edward Kemp as the Director of Engineering and Street Department for the City of
Move
Starkville
approval.
in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135. I have a motion from Alderman Vaughn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I heard a bunch of seconds. Alderman Miller, I will give it to you. Second from Alderman Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration of the reappointment of Joel Clements as the Information Technology Director for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135.
Move approval.
A motion from Alderman Little. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Walker. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consideration of the reappointment of Emma Gibson Gandy as the Director of Sanitation and Environmental Services Department for the City of Starkville in accordance with Mississippi Code 2135. Do you have a motion? I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Honorable Mayor, I move that Emma Gandy, an at-will employee of the City of Starkville, Mississippi, serving at the will and pleasure of the Starkville Board of Alderman pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated Section 21-3-5, be terminated from her position of Director of Sanitation and Environmental Services based on a track record of consistently poor job performance, and that she cease being employed by the City of Starkville in any capacity effective immediately, and that she have from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Central Standard Time on July 6, 2017, to clean out her office and return all city property in her possession to the proper city authorities under the direction of and supervision of Human Resources Director Navert Ashford and Information Technology Director Joel Clements.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Sistrunk. All in favor?
Aye.
Do you have any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Was that a 7-0 vote?
Yes, sir, it was. Motion carries 7-0. I heard no opposition. That will take us to our recess, and before we I'm sorry.
I've got a
Oh, I
motion.
apologize. I'm sorry. Yes, Alderman Little, you had a motion.
I move to advertise for the position of Sanitation and Environmental Services Director with the deadline for application to be 5 p.m. July 26, 2017, and with Calvin Ware to act as interim director until the position is filled.
Okay, and you have that motion reduced to writing? Thank you. Without any objection, I will let that stand and allow Ms. Harden to enter that in the record that way. Do I have a second? Have a second from Ms. Sistrunk on that motion?
Ms. Honorable Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I think we probably let the minutes reflect that would be a 10% increase in pay just to put in the minutes. Go ahead, gentlemen.
I had asked HR Director about that earlier, and he said once they're in that position for 6 months, that would apply. Is that correct, Mr. Ashford?
The reason I asked that, we have just been inconsistent in doing that. There have been other cases where we have done differently, but I won't cite those on the record. We did them last term a little bit differently, but that's why I want to make sure that the board did whatever it wanted to do, because there's some cases where we've done it differently. I just want to make sure. So is it the will of the board that the salary remain the same?
I would say if we did it in error, we should be following our own guidelines going forward. If they're set and established, is that correct, Mr. Ashford?
According to the policy that we have in place now, the policy states that after 180 days, which is 6 months, that person is still in their position, they get a 10%.
I would say let's track the board orders existing.
If we wish to revisit that policy, we can do so at another time. Is that acceptable, Vice Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right, so your motion as stands, and then
Move
we have a
to
second
recess.
from Alderman Sistrunk. Well, we did that, I'm sorry. But I need to read something. Let me read it real quick, because in order to comply with our open records.
We didn't vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I apologize. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. I'm sorry. Before we recess, I want to say, the board will be having a public work session. I'm going to read this out to make sure I get it right. The board will be having a public work session on July the 14th, 2017 at 11 a.m. on the second floor of City Hall. The public and media are invited to attend. Notice shall be provided of this work session with 1 hour of this meeting by posting such notice at City Hall. Notice for the work session shall be made part of the minutes of the work session. Again, the work session will be open public meeting of the City of Starkville, and the public and press are invited to attend. And that's the work session that we discussed earlier in the meeting. So, do I have a motion to recess?
So move.
Alderman Vaughn, I have a motion. Second, Alderman Little. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are in recess until July 18th, 2017, 5:30 in the courtroom.